The night was cold, the streets nearly empty, and the flashing lights of police cars painted the dark alley red and blue. At first glance, detectives believed they were dealing with something tragically common in the city, a robbery gone wrong. A man lay lifeless, sprawled on the pavement, his wallet missing, his pockets turned inside out. To anyone watching, it screamed of a simple crime of opportunity. But when one detective reached into the victim's jacket, his fingers brushed against something unexpected. A small velvet pouch, hidden deep inside his pocket. Inside was a gleaming wedding ring, untouched, untaken, almost as if he was holding onto it for a reason. And that discovery would unravel a story far more complicated than any of them could have imagined. This is the case of a man who never made it home, and the secret his wedding ring revealed. The victim was Michael Turner, a 36-year-old accountant. Friends described him as kind, soft-spoken, and deeply devoted to his fiancée, Sarah. The couple had been engaged for just 3 months, and according to those closest to them, Michael was in the middle of planning a surprise for her. He had purchased a second ring, a more expensive one, that he intended to give her as a renewal of his promise, a gesture that symbolized how much she meant to him. He never got the chance. On the night of the murder, Michael had left his office later than usual. CCTV footage captured him leaving the building just after 10:15 p.m. He stopped by a jewelry shop earlier that week, which his credit card records later confirmed, and detectives believed that's when he bought the ring. At 10:30 p.m., Michael texted Sarah, "On my way home. Can't wait to see you." But Michael never arrived. At 11 p.m., a neighbor reported hearing what sounded like shouting, followed by a loud thud. No one thought much of it, until his body was discovered just 30 minutes later by a passerby walking their dog. The wallet missing, the scene staged, and yet the wedding ring remained hidden away. Detectives initially logged the case as a street robbery, but that ring changed everything. Why would a thief take the wallet and cash, but leave behind an expensive gold ring? Why would they go through the trouble of turning his pockets inside out, but miss the one item that might have been worth the most? The theory of a simple robbery was crumbling. Forensics later revealed that there were no defensive wounds on Michael, no struggle, which raised an even darker possibility. Did Michael know his killer? Investigators began retracing Michael's steps. The first major break came when they checked his phone records. Hours before his death, he had received multiple unanswered calls from an unknown number. When traced, that number belonged to a man named Daniel Cole, a former coworker who had been fired from Michael's company the previous year. According to HR records, Daniel had accused Michael of sabotaging his career. But there was more. Sarah, the fiancée, admitted to detectives that Daniel had once been her ex-boyfriend. The connection sent the case in a whole new direction. Detectives dug deeper and found chilling evidence. A search history on Daniel's laptop including terms like how to stage a robbery and how to erase fingerprints. And then came the most damning discovery: DNA under Michael's fingernails. Not from a stranger, but from Daniel Cole. The trial was explosive. Prosecutors laid out the story piece by piece. Daniel had been consumed with jealousy, unable to accept that his ex-girlfriend had moved on and was about to marry someone else. The stolen wallet? A distraction. The turned-out pockets? A cover-up. But the ring, Michael's hidden gift for Sarah, was the fatal flaw in his plan, a detail he hadn't accounted for. When the jury heard this, it took less than 4 hours to deliver a verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. Daniel was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For Sarah, the loss was devastating. At the funeral, she clutched the wedding ring Michael had never been able to give her. To this day, she wears it on a chain around her neck. What began as a supposed robbery ended up being a story of obsession, jealousy, and betrayal. But one question lingers. If detectives hadn't found that wedding ring, if that single clue had gone unnoticed, would justice have ever been served? What do you think? Was this truly a crime of passion? Or was there something more Michael discovered that night? Something Daniel didn't want anyone to know? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.